Insomnia, overwhelm, and random panic attacks. If you're having these symptoms, you may be struggling with something called postpartum anxiety. We're going to talk about why this might be happening and steps you can take today to help you overcome anxiety naturally. Hey mama, I'm Tara Gregorio, certified women's herbal educator with Dr. Aviva Ram and mama of twins. And on this channel, you find the best natural remedies for women and children's health. So if that sounds like you, hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of my new video each Tuesday. Plus, you can head over to my website, taragregorio.com, where I've helped hundreds of women integrate natural remedies and grab your freebie so that you can learn how. So today we're talking about postpartum anxiety, something that is near and dear to my heart. After my twins, I breastfed for 3 weeks, and then I finally realized that I would need to stop breastfeeding to leave the house. It was consuming way too much time. But when I stopped breastfeeding was the time that anxiety and depression and insomnia set in. So there is a correlation between your insomnia and anxiety and depression. So we really want to take care of your insomnia and your sleep deprivation fast. I will teach you how. First, let's look at what are the common signs moms talk about when they have postpartum anxiety. Number one, they say insomnia. So it's common that our sleep is deprived, our sleep is interrupted for many years. But if everyone else is sleeping and you're awake, that's a true sign of insomnia. You could also have difficulty going to sleep. It's called tired and wired. You could have difficulty at 2 a.m. where you can't go back to sleep, or 5 a.m. where your heart is just pounding out of your chest. All of these are symptoms of anxiety. If you are unable to go back to sleep, you're currently struggling with insomnia and you want to take care of it fast because it just leads to anxiety and depression. We're going to talk about why this happens after birth. Number two, heart palpitations. So if you were to stop for one moment and take a few deep breaths, you may not notice it right now, but when you're in this fight or flight position, your heart just starts pounding and it can be erratic, so much so that women have gone to the emergency room thinking they're having a panic attack due to this heart palpitation, this anxiety. So it's not uncommon that this happens. And if you're experiencing it, you may want to go to the emergency room yourself but we'll talk about one remedy that will stop these heart palpitations really fast. Dizziness, lightheadedness, stomach issues. So it's super common that our gut microbiome is off when we have anxiety and depression, something called dysbiosis, or it may lead to something called leaky gut syndrome. So I teach my clients how to heal their gut with the 4R approach taught by functional medicine doctors. And when we heal our gut, you should notice fewer anxiety attacks and fewer episodes of dipped moods or depression. Your chest gets tight. You might feel like you cannot breathe, headaches, sweating, can't focus, and crying spells. And if you're no longer breastfeeding, you may notice that your mood dips or this anxiety is worse before your period, and you might have something called PMDD. So watch this video to see what is PMDD and what you can do about it. So why does this happen after childbirth? This bothered me for the longest time. Number one, your sleep is interrupted, right? I had twins. When baby A finally fell asleep, baby B would wake up. It was a mess for 2 years. Nobody was sleeping. So when your sleep is interrupted, you cannot get that rhythm back, and it's super hard. You have to reteach your body how to sleep again. You may have something called postpartum adrenal fatigue, and I'll have a video coming up about what is postpartum adrenal fatigue. But basically, it's a made-up term. It's not a true diagnosis. There's nothing you can really measure for adrenal fatigue. It's just a category of symptoms, including insomnia and anxiety, that are undiagnosable by your doctor, but can change and can be cured without medications when we address our diet, our gut health, our sleep, and get this full picture of health once again. So postpartum adrenal fatigue, we're going to talk about soon. Depleted vitamins and minerals. Vitamin D could be low. Vitamin B6 could be low. So you do want to have your vitamins and minerals checked by your doctor to see if you are low, particularly in vitamin D. You also do want to have your thyroid checked because it's very common for your thyroid to go to hyper and hypothyroid in a matter of 3 months. So the two things I would have checked is D and thyroid. I also have a video on the supplements that you may consider postpartum to help bring your energy back. I'll leave the link below. You could be having trauma. So let's talk about trauma a little bit, right? It doesn't mean trauma from your childbirth, although it could be. You could have had trauma in high school, as a kid, in college, and you've suppressed it. You're not even thinking about it anymore whatsoever. It may have resurfaced after childbirth, but there could be something that's really deep that you haven't talked about in ages that may come back postpartum, and that might be giving you the little bit of anxiety. So this happened to me as well in college. There was trauma, which I never would have called it trauma. I didn't even know that word at the time. And nobody talked about it. We just suppressed it. I suppressed it. Nobody spoke about it. After many, many years, it resurfaced after childbirth. The images came back up, but I didn't know what to do with them because I didn't know it was trauma. And I would have never done anything about it until my husband passed away. So my husband passed away, and due to that episode of trauma, clearly that was trauma, I started seeing a therapist. But up until then, 7 years of my children's lives, I never went to therapy. So if you're in therapy already, I give you a big hug. I'm so proud of you. Therapy is something you may want to consider if you've been struggling with anxiety your whole entire life, or if it's just popped up out of nowhere. Sometimes there's events that we don't even know have caused trauma that are really affecting us now. Money concerns. The postpartum time is such a time of lack of time, lack of money, lack of resources, right? It's really a time of lack. So that could be causing great anxiety in your body. Ask for help. So that's the biggest thing moms do wrong, is forget to ask for help. So don't be afraid to call a neighbor, call a grandmother, call your mother-in-law, whatever it is. Try asking for help when you need help the most. So what are the 8 steps you can take to overcome anxiety? Number 1 is address your sleep. You've got to get your sleep under wraps. In the Present Mama group coaching course, I will teach you how to do this, but you really got to think about what is disrupting your sleep. Number 2, coffee. I don't know if you're drinking coffee or not, but try to have 1 cup of coffee before noon, or if you can, skip the coffee altogether. Sometimes just a little bit of coffee affects us that are most sensitive and creates anxiety and insomnia in the evening. Number 3, skip the alcohol. If you are drinking any alcohol at all, red wine, white wine, vodka, mixed drinks, gin and tonic, whatever your go-to is, it most likely is disrupting your sleep. Now, red wine is the worst, and vodka is, we'll say, the best, but they all disrupt our sleep. So you'll notice maybe you go to bed easier, but you might wake up at 2, 3 a.m. and you're unable to go back to sleep. So let's skip the alcohol, at least for a short period of time, and see if it helps you. Next, you want to add an adaptogen. So this is part of healing adrenal fatigue. So when we're in this fight or flight position, we need to pull our body back from that scarcity, from that anxiety, and come into the nervous system, the rest and digest. One way we can do that is with adaptogens, and adaptogens are hugely popular right now, probably because most of us have been living in this fight or flight, especially after COVID. So learn about the adaptogens that are right for your body. If you're nursing, there are some that you can take, and if you're not nursing, there are some you can take. People are drinking it in their coffee. They're drinking it with cranberry juice instead of having alcohol. So adaptogens are everywhere. And the reason is that it pulls us out of fight or flight and helps us recoup and recover much faster. Number 6, you want to add in nervines during the day and at night. So nervines are a category of herbs that help soothe our anxiety system. I want you to think about, what do you want to feel like? Most likely you want to feel rested, at ease, not in this like crazy mom mode. So what can you do during the day to make your nights easier? And what can you take at night to make your days easier? So think about drinking nervines, like a chamomile tea at night, lemon balm. During the day, you can have stinging nettles and milky oat tops. So what can we do to soothe our nervous system day and night? Number 7, you want to exercise. So there's so many reasons not to exercise. There's really no time, right? But you've got to make exercise a priority. So even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's with a baby strapped to you, you want to get outside as much as you can to soak up that vitamin D. You want to move your body, you want to walk, and it helps with anxiety. It helps with panic attacks. Number 8, make self-care a priority. Now, some women are turned off by that term, so you can think of soothing your nervous system maybe as a priority and asking yourself 3 times a day, how do I want to feel? In the morning when you wake up, at lunch, and in the evenings. There's been time I've taken tubs at 5 a.m., at 2 p.m., at 10 p.m., because the tub helps me relax. So ask yourself, how do you want to feel? And what is going to make you feel good right now? Number 9, adding in vitamins to fill the nutrient gap. So after a pregnancy, it's common that we have this nutrient gap. We're low in vitamins. It was probably there before, it's just more apparent now. And especially if you've lost a lot of blood, or you had surgery, or you're sleep deprived, or you're stressed. So there's many reasons, but our vitamin levels tend to be low, especially vitamin D and B6. And by filling those nutrient gaps, or iron levels, by filling those nutrient gaps, you may notice you have less anxiety. And number 10 is community. Find yourself one girlfriend, one family member, someone to help you during this time, because you really need that support. My favorite thing that happened after my husband's death is a neighbor started walking with me once a week, every single week for the full year, for 12 months, and we're still continuing now. Thank you, Amy. So the best thing she ever did for me is just walk with me. That was it. So if you can find one person, or hopefully a community of people, to help support you when you need it the most, that will be the most memorable time of your life. So if you're looking for a natural recovery from anxiety, grab the 9-step checklist below so that you can learn the 9 simple steps that we just went over, but that you can dig into a little bit deeper so that you can recover from anxiety naturally. Thank you.